For this month in Building the Dalek, we're going to finish off the bumper down along the base of the Dalek. Time to get started. So before I start building the rest of the bumper here for the Dalek, I want to address an item on here, which is actually these little ovals that are on each of these panels. The reason these happen to be ovals is because of the plastic injection molding process. If you look straight down onto these, they actually will look like circles. And of course, trying to pick that up on the camera with some of the glare and such is not going to be that easy. But if you look straight down on them, they actually do look like circles. And because the mold is a two-piece mold, you have to have some draft for those parts to come out of the mold or it'll get stuck. And the only way to have truly made these shaped like circles would have been to have a third panel in the mold that would be on this angled facet here, which is going to be a lot more expensive to do. On the original, these were not just simply ovals. They were actually Caphead screws, and I can show you a picture here. So in order to try and make this a little bit more accurate, these little ovals have got to go. So I'm going to clean those off and get this area prepped and ready to have this little guy put in. So this is actually a small Caphead screw. If I can get this to focus in on it. Let's see if I can maybe zoom in on it and get it to... There it is. It's a very small Caphead screw, and it should be very close to scale to the size that it needs to be for here. In fact, if I hold that next to where that little oval piece is, you can see it's actually the same diameter. So that is going to replace all of those little ovals. So I'm going to do that first. I'm going to drill out my hole to be able to put that in using a 1mm drill bit. This is a 1.4 millimeter Caphead screw, and that should then give a much more accurate looking design to the parts. So I'm going to do that on the existing piece at the moment and on the new parts before I start to assemble the new parts. In order to make sure I have a good clean cut, I'm going to grab myself a brand new chisel blade so that I have a good sharp knife to work with. And I've got plenty here, so if I find that it's getting at all dull, I can go ahead and replace that immediately. If you're buying your X-Acto blades, buy them in bulk. These 100 packs are great. If you can get them any larger, the more you can get at one time, the better. You're less likely to, I can use it for one more time. I can use it for one more time. Get them in bulk, and when they start to go dull, change them out immediately. So as I had said earlier, I'm going to use a 1mm drill bit to drill my hole into the material to be able to run the screw in. So I want to get this hole drilled in first, because once I cut away that oval, I could very easily lose the location of where that hole needs to be. So I'm just going to continue to do that for every section, and I'm going to do this on the new pieces as well. Finger out of the way so I don't drill into my finger. And I have those first 2 holes now set and ready to go. Removing the little oval is just some time and patience, and just slowly removing the material from the surface, and just a matter of getting this down nice and flat. So just take my time, go very slow with it to remove that oval from there. Do the next one down here. And get each of those taken care of. To get rid of this white mark that has been left behind, it's just a matter of doing some very light sanding and keeping it very focused on the spot that I want to clean up. And going from my rougher sandpaper here to a much finer grit. Again, just keeping this focused right in where I want to work. And then finally, just a last little bit of a polish. And get that buffed up. I'm just going to make sure that that hole is cleared out, which it is. And now I can go ahead and install the screw. So ideally, having a tap for a 1.4 thread, millimeter thread, would be the best thing to do to be able to put these screws in. The plastic is, however, soft enough to allow the screw to cut its own threads in. However, just getting it started is a little difficult, so I'm just taking a slightly larger drill bit and just putting a bit of a chamfer into that hole so that the screw has a little bit of a purchase in the hole to help get things started. So I don't want this to be very large, just enough to be able to get things going before I put the screw in. And then with the screw on my driver, I can go ahead and run this down in. So it does take a little pressure to get it started. So now once that screw starts, you can see that it's now in, and it will pull itself the rest of the way down in. So now I can go ahead and get the second one in. I'll be right back. So now you can see each of those cap screws in place. A lot nicer in design than the little ovals. Okay, much more realistic, a little more three-dimensional. But to keep these from coming out, on the back side, I need to go ahead and put these, or get a way to keep these from being able to come out. There are nuts that will fit on here, and I do have those. I do not, however, have a driver small enough to be able to put them on real easily, and they're very tiny, very fiddly to go on. So just to make things a little simpler for myself, I'm going to go ahead and just use a drop of medium thick CA. And and that should hold those in quite nicely. So from here, I can go ahead and get all of these holes drilled, get all the little ovals cut off. I'm going to do all this to the new pieces before I do the assembly work, so that way it's done and not so cumbersome to work with. And before we get into the actual assembly of the bumper parts for this month, I will show you those pieces. So it's going to take me a little while to do that, but for you, I'll be right back. So, having gotten all the screws put into place, it's now time to move on to the actual steps for this month's build of the Dalek. Step number 67, you can see the different parts that are here. We've got the connector to pull everything in tight. We've got the plate here that's going to hold the two pieces together, all the screws. So, let's go ahead and get this put together. So I've done this before. I'm going to go ahead and get a small amount of modeling cement, put onto where the base is going to connect and onto where these two plates are going to go together. And then it is time to press this into place and get the screws put in. So while I'm doing this, putting all the little cap screws in really did not take terribly long. And I think it's a nice added detail if you can get really small Caphead screws like the ones that I got here. I think it'll definitely improve the way that the overall presentation of the Dalek is going to look. I'll see if I can find some of these screws and put a link in the description as to where you can get some of them as well. May not be the exact same size. I'll see what I can find. And of course, you also need to have a good driver to be able to screw them in, a little hex head driver to put them in. All right, so move on down to the end here and get the next bracket in place. And with this last screw going in, that is the end of step number 67. Step number 68. So same parts again for connecting everything together. The next piece, you can see here where the Caphead screws are put in. You'll notice I have these two out at the moment because they are right along the centerpiece here, and I need to be able to get some glue into there. And I'm probably going to have to re-drill this, at least this bottom one, because it does go right into this plate here. So the drill may need to be able to create the channel for the threads to go into. So let's go ahead and get this one attached. I will say it is interesting that the decision had been made to just make those, where the Caphead screws are, just simple little circle castings. where they could have very easily had the holes pre-molded in order to be able to add the a little casting on there that would be the same part. Instead of having them being metal, they'd be plastic probably, or even have it made in such a way that the spot would be ready to receive a screw provided that would be able to then go down into a precast hole. With you know, a nice model like this, those tiny little details are what really make the whole thing really stand out, really neat. And I think it was a lost opportunity for them to add just that extra bit of detail that would have really popped really nicely. But I enjoy doing modifications to models, and this was a very easy modification to put together. And with that, that is the end of step number 68. On to step number 69. So nothing new on the parts front here. We're already now quite familiar with these. So time to get things put together. So somehow I managed to totally miss hitting the record button on this one. But just as before, getting the main plate screwed down. And now this connector. So we haven't really missed a lot. All right, and with that, that is the end of step number 69. Step number 70. This is the last plate that'll go on for the Dalek bumper. So this is in the back. Again, we get the main plate. We get, this time, 2 of these connectors. We don't have any of the little rectangular brackets because they're already attached. And, of course, the screws. Now, the glaring elephant in the room here, the credit information that is printed on this back piece. I am rather disappointed that they printed this on here. This is understandable why they've got it on here, because like you look at any toys, they've got the name of the company, they've got the date, the copyright. You know, I know in all my Star Wars figures as a kid growing up, they all had on the back of them Lucasfilm Limited on the backs of their legs and things like that. But something like this model, this could have been put somewhere else. It could have been on the inside of this plate. It could have been on the corresponding back plate that's on the bottom of the Dalek. This could have been printed on the inside of the dome. Any number of places where it would be there, but not be there. It could have also been done as a black on black instead of the this light gray lettering. I'm sure there are going to be people who are going to either sand this off or use a thinner of some kind to wash it off. For now, I'm going to go ahead and leave it until I decide whether I just want to go ahead and leave it there or take it off. So moving right along, let's go ahead and get this piece attached so that we can wrap up this month's build. So for the last time on this area, go ahead and get glue into place here onto these surfaces. Come on, you were just on there. Go back on. There it goes. All right, and I think here we're going to speed things up. And with that, that's the end of step number 70. Please stick around for just a couple more moments. So now with the bumper set into place, this is how the Dalek is now looking. Most of the base itself now completed. I think having the cap screws on here is quite nice looking. I think it's a nice addition to the overall look of the Dalek. As compared to those just cast-in little plastic circle shapes. So next month, please join me again as we start to work our way up. We've got some bracing that's going to be going on to these 4 posts here coming up. We've got a large plate that's going to be going on top of that, which is going to support the center section. And we are eventually going to start on the skirt section of the Dalek as well. So starting now to really come along and look like what the overall thing should be. So lots to do. Please join me again and take care. Have a good rest of your month, everybody. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.